our face mask. And again, wear that face mask, and not only will you be safer yourself, but also that other person that is around you who, when you don't have a face mask. So I would think that anytime you're in a place of business or any place outside your what I call your friendly confines of your own property, if you're at the post office, or if you're at the drugstore, or if you're at the grocery store, or wherever you are in the public, around the public, you need to be wearing one of these face masks. And hey, don't feel funny about it. It's the smart thing to do, and it's the thing that everybody should be doing. And if we don't watch it, if more people don't start wearing the face mask and don't be standing 6 feet apart wherever you are in a public place, we're going to have more and more cases out there. As of yesterday, Pike County has 450 cases, and that's their high for the year so far. Pike County, 452, and also right now the death total, I think, is still at 5. We'll check on that later on in our show, but we've got a great show for you as we have John Ramage in the house, and we'll be talking about the big merger between Troy Bank and Trust Company and First National Bank of Troy Brundage, and we appreciate him coming in today. And John, come on up here.
We've been doing business the right way for 31 years, and now we've approached a year at the all-new Bill Jackson Ford. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
I would recommend Bill Jackson to friends and family. Environment was just friendly.
It's a short drive from anywhere.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson Satisfaction, they really mean it.
The Jackson Satisfaction is...
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
I want to mention this. I want to mention Brett. Absolutely. Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by some wonderful people today at Troy Bank and Trust Company. And ladies and gentlemen, again, we can say they're the only bank you'll ever need. And my good friend John Ramage is with us.
You can't
today.
can't shake hands, man. What are you doing?
Oh, God.
Oh,
I forgot all about it.
Now we're in trouble.
I know, that's the first time I've done that, too.
We got
That's the
to have
first
a
time I've done that since this has been going on.
we got to have a retake.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
Yeah, exactly. John Ramage, of course, you're a title now.
I am I'm an executive vice president with Troy Bank and Trust Company.
Okay, and of course, he brings with him another very strong local bank in Brundage. The Pike County, or Troy Bank and Trust Company is now merged with First National Bank of Troy Brundage, and of course, with the main location on Main Street in downtown Brundage, and the other location is on Park Street in Troy.
That's
so.
Right.
You bring two banks with you.
We do. We bring 2 banks. I believe that brings Troy Bank and Trust total up to 13 branches in the area to serve our customers. So we're very proud. This is something that we worked on for a long time. At one point, it was the worst kept secret in Pike County, probably. Before that, it was the best kept secret in Pike County, but then it was the worst kept secret in Pike County. And then it was the merger that never was going to happen, the merger that couldn't happen, but it did. Through a lot of hard work and dedication by a lot of people, we got it done. And as of 12:05 on Wednesday, July 1st, First National Bank became Troy Bank and Trust Company.
Well, of course, it's been long awaited, and of course it comes in. I have talked about Troy Bank and Trust Company on this show, and I've talked about First National Bank of Troy Brundage on this show, and now, like you said, the merger is here, and
right.
It makes one big local bank. And before we get into talking about this merger, the city of Brundage lost one of their outstanding people. Brett Thomas passed away, and of course, Brett with this picture here. And it's one of the nicest photos I've ever seen in the Troy Messenger. And this Troy Messenger goes back to 1867. But tell us about Brett Thomas.
Well, this article here was a great thing, and
so too.
It's a great story on Brett. But the reason it was great is, and we don't do this enough, not just in Troy but everywhere, but this article came out while Britt was alive.
That's right.
So Britt got to see it. He got to read it. He got to see. I think on the second page is a lot of quotes from people that Britt impacted their lives. But yeah, Britt was one. He was my neighbor on Finney Hill. There's only 3 of us up there.
He was almost like a second father, wasn't he?
Well, he and my father were very, very close. The success that Britt and Dad had during their run at the city of Brundage was really unprecedented for a town the size that Brundage is. And, I mean, we were the last town to lose our textile mill. You look around just Troy Cable's footprint in the towns that still haven't recovered from the loss of the textile mills thanks to NAFTA. Well, Brundage was able to pivot. They successfully recruited the Walmart distribution center. That Britt was a big part of that. And then now we manufacture a lot of food in Brundage.
No question about it. And I showed that picture. First of all, he had to be proud of this picture, because it was a very good picture. And of course, Brett Thomas, I've known him a long time. He was the city, 38 years he worked for the city of Brundage?
I believe that's right. Dad hired him, Dad and Robert Barr, the Boss Hog.
That's right, Boss Hog.
The Boss Hog. They hired Britt in 1977, 78, I believe. And then Britt took a 5-year sabbatical to serve as the county administrator for Pike County.
Yeah.
And during that time, he was very involved in the recruitment of Lockheed Martin. So, I mean, Britt's legacy is very strong, very strong.
The first thing I would say about Britt, and there was a lot of superlatives used and this was quotes from people, like you said, while he was actually alive.
Yeah.
But one thing was he was smart. SMART. And that would be one thing. You know, I worked with ADECA for 26 years, the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, and I dealt with him then, and I said, man, this guy, I kept telling your dad, who's a very good friend of mine, Jimmy Ramage, who was the president and CEO for so many years at First National Bank, said, man, where did you get this guy? And he said, from Phoenix City.
That's exactly right. he was a Glenwood Gator. So, you know, he and his wife were both from Phoenix City.
Lovely lady.
Yes, Julie she's a wonderful lady, and Britt, you know, he was a good father, good dad to those two girls. You know, they had lost their father when they were really young, and when Britt and Julie married, the girls were they were young, so that was Dad.
Yeah.
So, but you know, we had a nice celebration yesterday, and it was bittersweet, but you know, I was just sitting there thinking, what a wonderful legacy he left.
Yeah.
I mean, as Trey Wright said during the service, there are people that haven't been born yet that will benefit from Britt's work in Brundage.
You know, he was the city administrator at a long time, but we called him something else, didn't we?
Yeah, he was the city manager.
Yeah,
city manager and city clerk.
Yeah.
In Brundage, he was both.
And a lot of towns have city clerks. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many city clerks were there, but it was a bunch, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they were there to show their respect.
Yeah, absolutely. There were people from all over this area there, from the different boards that he had served on. You know, the Brundage owning their own electricity and being a member of Power South. Britt was on that board for a long time.
I saw several of my friends from Power South, and it really just hit us. We knew he was sick, but nobody thought that he would, that it was that he was that sick.
He was sick, and he had cancer, and Lord, you hear way too much of that here lately. But his treatment went off the rails. Had an incident and was sent home with hospice, and you know those guys and girls do a great job, but they almost nailed it to the day of how long they said that he had when he came home.
Mike Amos is coming in here through Zoom television, and he's the star of Zoom in Pike County. Good morning to you, my friend.
Hey, morning.
My friend and son.
That's right. I understand that relationship.
Exactly right. And of course,
John, tell us a little bit about the history of your family bank in Brundage, if anybody out there is listening and doesn't know the story.
Okay. First National Bank was founded in October the 15th of 1904 by my great-great-grandfather, James T. Ramage.
I mentioned that. I imagine over the 22 years I mentioned that probably 1,000 times maybe.
Jim Ramage, Big Jim, Daddy Jim as we call him, but he was 29 years old at the time. He was a cattleman, and he owned several businesses in town and got them up and sold them to other people. And he was a protege of Walter, of Mr. Bass, of the Bass House, so Mr. Fletcher Bass. So. But he founded the bank in 1904. He was, like I say, he was a farmer, and he wanted a bank that the farmer could be comfortable going in. I mean, Brundage had two banks. Brundage Banking Company was a little older than we were. They were founded in 1900. So he wanted a bank for he and his kind, farmers, working people. So he founded the bank, and he ran the bank until his death in 1938. And then his estate, they used to teach his estate at the University of Alabama on how not to write a will, because he had buried his two children, and he had raised his grandchildren and had spoiled them completely rotten.
Yeah.
I mean, they had chauffeurs. They had a horse that lived in the house.
Oh.
You know, just terrible.
Yeah.
But so he decided, well, I can't leave it to them. They'll blow it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip them. So he skipped his grandchildren and left his estate to what would be my dad's generation.
Yeah.
So they tried for years and years and years to bust the estate, and they couldn't. So, my great grandfather passed away early. He was a diabetic that enjoyed whiskey and fishing.
Yeah.
Somehow I missed that at career
You said
day.
that I did. You said that I didn't. Because your dad, Jimmy Ramage, is watching this morning and getting a kick out of this. Your mom and dad probably gonna be falling out in a minute.
I'll get a text message in a minute.
But I've mentioned. All right. So Mr. Jim Ramage started it.
Mr. Jim Ramage started it. His son Lee, who was a graduate of the University of Alabama, he worked in the bank, but he passed away as a young man. And then his son was my grandfather, James T. Ramage II. He worked at the bank for a short time, but he worked for the state. He worked for the highway department. And he passed away very young from ALS.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that's a whole nother story.
How did they know that? Because what year was that?
He passed away in 1974.
Oh, okay, 74.
But here's the crazy thing about that. Now, my grandfather was a Navy man, and so he fought in the Pacific, and he was one that would take the short boats and take the Marines as they island hopped.
Sure, yeah.
So he had
He's been shot at many times.
numerous times, but he also had numerous concussions.
Yeah.
Numerous concussions.
Was he at D-Day?
No, he was not at D-Day.
Okay.
But in the 60s, the doctors in Bethesda told him that his condition was brought on by repeated head trauma.
Yeah.
And we act like we just discovered this with football players.
Exactly, yeah.
So he passed away at 52. He was very young. And then my dad had come back before he had passed. So Dad had a good 50-something year career.
Exactly. When did you? And of course he's.
My dad graduated from the University of Alabama in 1969. He came home in 1969.
And most all those Brundage guys were Kappa Sigs at Alabama.
Dad was a Kappa Sig. He was.
And of course Judge Bill Barr and
Judge Barr, Judge Dicker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They've run that.
Joe Espy. I mean, you go down the list. That's right.
Yeah. And of course, your dad, I know, is a very proud man, and I don't know if there's ever been, if there was a vote in this entire state of one man and what he did for his community, I think Jimmy Ramage would be on top.
He'd get my vote. I mean, like I say, for what they did in that 40-year run was remarkable for a town that never had any more than 2,700 people in it.
All right, the first president was Mr. John Ramage.
Jim.
Jim Ramage.
That's right. Lots of Jims and Johns in our family.
All right, Jim. All right, the statue out there is Jim.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
There's a statue in his name, but he was the first president.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jim Ramage.
He was the first, and I was the last.
Who was your great-grandfather.
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 Yeah.
Great-grandfather, and then.
So when did you come on board?
I graduated from Alabama in '97. So I had worked in the bank, of course, for a long time while in high school. Well, first I worked at Dad wouldn't hire me, so I went to work for the Piggly Wiggly when I was 15. So I worked there with Johnny Garrett for a long time, but then I came over.
Yeah. Now you would be.
How did your dad? Dad tells me stories about your dad at Alabama. He worked for Bear Bryant in the football team. Well, how do you get that done?
Dad, Now Dad would be a guest he'd be a week-long guest if he came on, because he has a million stories. Yeah. But he worked for Coach Bryant. The story is that Coach Bryant was actually married in Brundage, Alabama. He married Miss Mary Harmon Black.
That's right.
And they were actually married in Brundage by the Justice of the Peace, and they got on a train and they went back to Tuscaloosa. And Coach Bryant, he never admitted he was married because married players couldn't play football.
Yeah,
So So I tell you that story to tell you really
year,
how.
what year was Coach Bryant married?
I don't remember that one, but
Alabama in the 30s, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. He was back in the 30s. So
back then, yeah.
anyway, my grandfather is very, very ill. Dad is thinking he's going to have to come home to look after him, and financially it was just a strain. And he happens to walk across the quad one day, and you know how Dad is. He never meets a stranger. Yeah. And he's talking to this guy, and he ends up being a football coach. And he's telling him, look, I really need to find a job. If not, I'm going to have to go back home. And he goes back and he tells Coach Bryant that he just met this kid from Brundage that needs a job. And, the radar goes off for Coach Bryant, and he says, go bring that boy from Brundage. We're going to hire him. Yeah. So Dad worked for Bryant Hall for Coach Bryant, primarily in Bryant Hall, but he's got a million great Coach Bryant locker.
Yes. Joe Namath to
one of his stories is during his fraternity hazing. Oh, I know that's illegal to say, but one of his initiation tasks was to bring back Joe Namath's driver's license, which Dad successfully pulled off. He found Joe playing golf at the Birmingham Country Club. So, but yeah, he interacted with a lot of those guys. Yeah. One of his jobs, if you ever read Snake, Kenny Staber's autobiography,
I read it.
He would talk about how the door would be taped, so that he could sneak back in. That was one of Dad's jobs, was to tape the door for the Snake to sneak back in after curfew.
That's something. I know there's a lot of proud people that went to that, of course, have grown. You grew up in Brundage, and just some of the great things it's done. Not only, like we said, not only athletically, but what a wonderful legacy you and your family have had for all these years. Like I've always said on the show, there's always been a Ramage running that show.
Well, there has been for a long time. There was a brief period in there.
Until now.
Until now, that's right. That's right. We are no longer in charge. I had that conversation with someone yesterday.
Well, sometimes I want your board. Can you name some of those guys on your board?
On First National's board, First National Bank's board of directors was Rayvon Graham, Judge Barr,
Bill Barr,
Jim Shirley.
Jimmy Shirley,
who
I know him well.
I know y'all have talked about young golfers. I think Jimmy Shirley might have been one of the better young golfers to have ever come through Pike County.
Let me tell you this. There was a lot of good ones. You're right, and Jimmy Shirley was one of them. And let me tell you something. You're looking at the guy that was with him when he played his first round of golf out at Troy State Teachers College at the time. But I got him started.
Cott Wallace.
Yeah.
Cott was on my board.
Yeah.
And Matt Leverett.
Okay. And of course, that's the present was the present board, and
that's right.
And of course they're no longer.
That's right. We resigned effective June the 30th.
Now, stock. Did y'all have stock? Did y'all have a stock program at all?
Yeah, we owned stock in the bank, but this was not a stock transaction.
It was not.
No,
so their stock goes away. Is that
That's
right?
right. Troy Bank and Trust Company purchased the stock from us.
And then, of course, it's been a great article about that. And of course, you don't see this every day, but the merger between these two banks, and of course, your bank wasn't a small bank. It was
well, we in the grand scheme of things, we were relatively small, but
over $100 million though.
Well, just about, and
pretty big bank.
Pretty big bank, and then you put Troy Bank and Trust, who is a very large community bank.
Yeah.
So Mr. Kirby and I spoke on Tuesday, I believe it was, and we are combined $1.05 billion.
The great thing about Jeff Kirby.
$1.05
billion.
$1 billion. That's what we're saying now. It is $1 billion bank, and something was said yesterday. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they said that it was something like the eighth bank, local owned, home-owned, home-owned bank, one of the top 8 in the state.
I believe we are going to be in the top 7 or 8 of the largest banks in the state. including, I mean, obviously number one is Regions.
Yeah, exactly.
And because they're a behemoth, but Troy Bank and Trust will be in the top 7.
What do you mean by behemoth?
Oh, they're huge. You know, they're one that we call at our level too big to fail.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
the government's not going to let them fail. So.
And years ago, not that many years ago, but F&M Bank Troy merged with Regions. Is that right? Or merged?
That's right. You know, Troy had. You know, Brundage had 2 banks that went into the Depression, and we had 2 banks that came out of the Depression.
Yeah.
First National Bank and the Brundage Banking Company. Troy went into the Depression with First National Bank of Troy, F&M Bank, and Troy Bank and Trust, and they came out with F&M National Bank of Troy, and Troy Bank and Trust, and then F&M. You know, they were the first local bank to sell out.
But what all this is a really a tribute to local banks. You know,
community banking
you
is
held your own.
That's right. Community banking is the lifeblood of the industry. And in these last few months, with COVID and all these SBA loans that have come out that you're reading about in the paper, of that community banks were the ones that did those.
Exactly. Yeah. And y'all done a lot of them, haven't you?
We did a lot of them. Yeah. Particularly now that I'm Troy Bank, we did a lot of them.
Is it going to? Are they going to do it more? I mean, are they going to extend it?
They have extended it. The President signed an extension on July the 4th that gives small businesses to August the 6th or 8th to apply for the payroll protection.
So I
program.
know that excites a lot of people, especially at the local level.
It's a program that. You know, people are drilling down and trying to name some people and embarrass some people that got it. But it is a program that worked. It kept people employed.
No question about it.
I mean, we had several people that, when we were funding their payroll loan, they were days away from having to lay people off.
Yeah.
And this kept them from having to do that so that they could keep their people. So it worked. It's It's like any government program. It's not perfect, but it did work.
Yeah. Of course,
I know in banking, everybody wants to still, do business with the people they know, people they've worked with over the years. Like, I guess everybody will come over to Troy Bank and Trust that's currently working for you guys.
That's right. Yeah, this was, this merger was a lot about the people, quite honestly. So all of the FNB legacy people will move over into Troy Bank and Trust positions. There won't be any attrition from the merger. So it's actually going to be really good for the employees of FNB.
That's wonderful. But again, the people that own stock, that they, unless they had sold it before the merger, is that right?
That's right. Those stockholders on June the 30th, they don't own stock anymore. They got paid for their stock.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They got paid for their stock,
they did.
Which was an exciting moment for a lot of people.
Working right now in the banking business. I mean, are you guys open as far as like taking customers that actually in branches right now?
Yeah, for
everything over the phone right now.
No, for a long time, we were closed to lobby traffic, but all of Troy Bank and Trust. Well, I take that back. I think there is one location that is drive-through only because of COVID, but every other location is open for lobby traffic under normal hours.
And tell us those locations, Mike. Can you do that?
Oh, me.
This has always been fun.
I don't know. How many in Troy now? 4, I guess? 4 locations in Troy or 3?
So it'd be 4, counting your bank on Park Street. It would be 4, wouldn't it? Let's see, the main branch, and then you've got one.
You got one in Brundage. You got one in Elba.
2 in Brundage.
You got 2 in. Wait a minute.
2 in Brundage. Okay. You got
now you have 2 in Brundage. That's right. What will you do then?
One in Goshen, one in Auburn now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Enterprise, New Brockton.
Yes.
Oh me. I think I'm going blank.
Elba Enterprise.
Elba Enterprise. New Brockton. Have you mentioned New Brockton?
Yeah, I said New Brockton.
Is that right?
A lot of branches.
Dothan now.
About to be 2 in Dothan.
About to be 2 in Dothan. Guys, How many is it? 14, 15?
We're at 13. 13 online.
13 online.
With active plans to build a new facility in Enterprise, a freestanding facility. And Troy Bank has been in that storefront by the Mellow Mess room since it went down there. But there's active plans to build a full standing branch.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're actively working on a building in Dothan.
Yeah. Of course, the Ramage family has to be excited about this. Even though it's sad in a way that there's been a Ramage running this bank ever since 1904, and what a great bank it's been. And
we had a great
bank.
run.
Yeah,
we did. We had a great run, 116 years, and First National will continue because of the ownership of Troy Bank and Trust and its unique stature. First National Bank will live forever.
Yeah.
We just won't be on the marquee anymore.
Yeah,
exactly. Sometimes you got to let your ego
go. So people that were banking with First National Bank are now banking with Troy Bank and Trust Company and hadn't missed a beat.
Hadn't missed a beat. Won't miss a beat. Won't have to change a checking account. They won't have to order new checks. They won't have to. We will have to do new debit cards, but that's down the line. So it will be as seamless as possible for the customer.
Yeah. All right, are you going to keep your position? I mean, your office in Brundage? Or?
My office is in Brundage for the foreseeable future.
All right. Will the staff be pretty much there in Brundage?
There'll be some shifting around. I'm sure that will have to happen at some point. But one thing COVID has taught us is that you don't have to physically be in the places that you traditionally thought you had to be.
Exactly.
So. I'm not sure that we won't be more in Brundage than we originally thought 3 years ago.
I hate to throw out something about COVID because we talk about it all the time on this show, and it's very, very important. We talk about face masks, and I know y'all go through all that too, in the banking business. But the thing that I'm seeing more of, there are a lot of businesses doing more business by the drive-in traffic than they were when they were walking in.
There was a great article in the Wall Street Journal the last couple of days, and it was about the bank drive-in, which was 100 days ago considered a dinosaur.
Yeah.
That banks had drive-ins, but people didn't use them.
That's right.
They used the mobile devices, they used the ATMs, they used all that stuff. Well, when you lock the lobbies down, guess what? People use the drive-ins.
They sure do.
And honestly, that traffic hasn't come back.
Yeah.
It's still a lot. I mean, we're open for business, but our lobby traffic probably hasn't come back any more than 20%. People are still using the drive-through.
Exactly. No question about it. I got used to that, and I think everybody did, and it was easy.
Once you did it a couple of times, you realized it wasn't a big booger bear. And
now my post office box, I couldn't use it.
No. You got to go in there, and
you folks start pulling your money out of the post office boxes. Or excuse me, I shouldn't say post office box, but
you can use your smartphone now, and with your smartphone, you can actually take a picture of your check.
That's right.
And you can deposit your check over your smartphone. Isn't that crazy?
It is a crazy world. When again, if Dad was here, Dad not that long ago. We didn't have account numbers.
Yeah.
Mike Amos wrote a check. We would go in there and write it in the ledger.
Yeah.
So we've gone from not having account numbers to now we don't even need checks. We just take a picture of it.
And the only thing I don't like about it is small letters, small letters.
I like that less every day.
It didn't bother me to see a canceled check either.
Yeah, that was one of my first duties was doing statements.
Well, I tell you what, this is the whole banking industry has watched y'all do what you've done, and do you think there'll be more and more people doing what y'all have done?
Well, you're dead on there, Mike. The whole industry was watching this merger, and I've heard Mr. Kervin and their legal teams have heard from banks all over the country that were watching this merger because as we started it. We were the number 1 and number 2 bank in the market, and we were merging together.
Yeah.
So, which is why it took so long. I mean, we dealt a year with the Justice Department trying to prove that it wasn't a monopoly, and
that was something that I first learned about it. It was not a monopoly, and the federal government was concerned about that.
The federal government was very concerned about the fact that the market share that we were going to have together, and the fact that what that might do to the consumer.
Yeah.
But we went into this with 3 community banks, and we're coming out. We went in with 2 community banks. We're coming out with 2 community banks. It's just a different set.
Yeah.
But so the consumer has multiple options, and we proved that. We tried to prove that anyway. That was part of our argument that Pike County is not an island unto itself. That Crenshaw feeds here, North Dale feeds here, South Montgomery feeds here, Bullock and Barber feed this way. So. But that takes a long time to put that square peg in that round hole of the government.
Did it surprise you, of course, under the leadership of Jeff Kerbin, y'all have expanded and got bigger. Did it surprise you how big Troy Bank had gotten?
Oh, no. As a competitor, you were very well aware of how big they had gotten. But, under Mr. Kerbin's guidance and leadership, which has been phenomenal, I mean, things don't happen by accident, and they don't happen by random. Mr. Kerbin taking over that bank in the Great Recession, it couldn't have been at a better time.
Jeff was sort of one of your heroes growing up.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of affinity for the Kerbin family in our household.
Exactly.
Mr. Kerbin is one of the
might
giants.
be one of the great families that have ever lived in Pike County. That's true.
Mr. Delaney and Miss Quintella are heroes of mine.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of respect there, which is why you even take the first phone call.
I've always said this, and not taking anything away from all the great leaders that bank has ever had, but you find a finer individual than Jeff Kerbin, you got to look a long way.
You got to look a long
Your
time.
dad is one of those guys too.
Dad's a giant.
See, that's a giant in the banking industry, but that's a giant in leadership. Local. Town leadership that y'all are just sort of stepping away from it a little bit now.
Well, but not really. We're just not. Like I say, we're just not on the marquee.
Yeah.
I mean, even Dad. Dad doesn't have any hobbies, so he's going to work.
All right,
unless Alabama goes to a 52-week schedule, then he might slow down a little bit.
All right, now he was the chairman of the board of the bank.
Yes, sir.
Did he stay on the board at Troy Bank?
No, there will be no First National Legacy board members at Troy Bank and Trust. But Dad is going to. He is signed to stay.
What
around.
are we going to do about this local citizens? Then call Mr. Ramage. He'll give us the money. Call Mr. Ramage.
That's right. Yeah, he's a giant in the industry and the state, really.
Exactly. I know you're proud, and of course you've done an outstanding job yourself. And we're talking about the merger of Troy Bank and Trust Company, one of the strong local banks in Alabama, with another one of the strong local banks, and that was First National Bank of Brundage, Troy Brundage. It was a big step when you made when y'all went to the Troy location.
It was. It took us 98 years to branch.
98.
But it was a great move, and it was a great move to go on Park Street, and we opened with Jerry Miller, who everyone loves. Jerry.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had a good run there, and we were actively building a new facility over near Publix on Park Place.
Exactly.
It was the name of that facility. When the phone call comes in from Troy Bank that we need to talk, so that project was halted.
Well, that was great. And of course, I can just run down a list of names of local Brundage business people that have, of course, been extremely successful, but have been strong leaders. And of course, members of the bank, either they were member of the board of trustees along the line, or some of their parents were strong supporters of the local bank.
Absolutely.
Do you think that it scares people? That it changed people's mind about the bank?
I don't think so. I mean, because we're still going to be there.
Yeah.
All the faces are going to be the same. I mean, there seems to be a question around our place on how we answer the phone.
Yeah.
You know, old habits die hard, so I hear a lot of good morning, First National Bank.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
things, we're not in a rush to change things.
All right, now let me ask you something that people are saying. What am I going to do about my retirement? What am I going to do about my retirement?
Retirement in as far as
All right, I've been banking with First National Bank of Brundage. I've been working for them for 30 years.
No, they will be well taken care of. Their retirement will roll over into Troy Bank and Trust retirement plan.
I'm sure that was
they
one
won't
of the
miss.
first questions.
No, that was an early question, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So, in Troy Bank, you know, they are very, very good to their employees and have great benefits.
Exactly.
So they'll be well taken care of.
All right, of course you'll stay local with your office, which that right there is enough said, because it'll be like you're dealing with the same people.
And that's why I don't think anyone needs to be concerned, because you're going to deal with the same people. The same people that you've been dealing with, you're going to continue to deal with.
Question about it.
And it's in a community bank. You know, there is a difference. There is a difference, and if I don't want to get on my soapbox, but there is a difference.
Well, when I talked about, I saw one figure, $1.08 billion bank. There's, like you said, there's not but 8 of them in the state of Alabama.
There's not very many that have the big B word behind them.
That's right. And now local banks, like Troy Bank and Trust Company, that have not merged. It's probably one of the largest banks that had not merged.
It's
right?
one of the
Local
larger, older banks. You know, you've got some of these newer banks that have come on, the Service First, River Bank and Trust. But River Bank and Trust, their model is to buy banks. They've done a lot of acquisitions. Service First is it's an anomaly. It's the old South Trust crew.
Mike knows them real well.
They run a phenomenal bank.
The head guy runs out of Andalusia, Alabama.
Tom Broughton.
Yeah,
Tom is a great guy.
We go to his box or his tent at
I've been
football
there.
games.
I haven't been to his box, but you understand why I don't do that.
You look at him from Andalusia and Richard Anthony.
That's right. That's right.
Synovus, isn't he?
He was. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And,
a lot of local folks.
But Troy Bank and Trust Company is still run by the Henderson.
Well, Troy Bank and Trust is owned very uniquely in that it is owned by the
bank shares,
the trust of Charles Henderson.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So and that benefits the children of Pike County.
Sure.
So it can't be sold.
Okay.
So that was one of the big allures of First National is we'll always live. They'll always be a community bank. I mean, we're community bankers to our core.
Yeah.
The Ramage family is. So we wanted to maintain a community bank.
Exactly.
So where do you go? Well, these guys are going to be here forever.
Yeah.
Strategic planning for Troy Bank and Trust is 100 years.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we going to do for the next 100 years, not the next 2 years?
Yeah. So the stock remains very strong then.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
It always...
Hopefully we made that a little stronger.
I know that, exactly. Now, we all open the opportunity to buy stock in your bank?
Well, Troy Bank, they have stock available from time to time.
Yeah.
But now there won't be any F&B. F&B stock is now all gone.
Yeah. And then the other part of the Henderson family ran the F&M Bank
how about
for
that?
years. So
that's right.
Everybody says
he was an original shareholder with us.
Sure, yeah, brothers, weren't they?
That's right.
Dad, do you want to take a commercial break?
Yeah, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back with Jim Ramage and John Ramage, and we'll be right back.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they said Jackson Satisfaction, they really mean it.
The Jackson satisfaction is real.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. John Ramage has joined us from First Troy Bank and Trust Company.
It takes some getting used to.
Of course, he's previously the president and CEO of First National Bank. Now that title of president and CEO of First National Bank, is it going to bother you that you don't have that title anymore?
No, you can't. Dad told me a long time ago that a title wasn't worth much because you couldn't eat it, and you couldn't borrow money against it. So it didn't have a lot of value.
But it's been a great business venture for you and your family.
My time as president. There's no doubt about it. It's one of probably the honor of my professional life was being president and CEO of the First National Bank.
Of course, there's a lot of history.
Yes, sir.
I mean, was there any doubt in your mind that you were going to go into the family business?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of doubt in my mind that I was going to go into it. You know, I ran from it for a while, and, you know, I worked there in high school, but when I first went to Alabama, it was not to do it. It was not to do it. But my senior year, I had some opportunities. Bank of America had recruited me. School was not something I thought was a real challenge, but so I had some success there. But Bank of America had recruited me to go into their program and take over a branch in North Carolina. And when you start looking at something like that, then you realize really how special something you have.
That's right.
So, we ran back home.
Michael is my son is president and chief executive officer of Crow Land Company. He likes that title.
That's nice. That's good.
I just being facetious a little bit.
You don't want me to have that title. I'd start selling a lot.
John, and of course this merger, like you said, makes it a big bank, one of the largest in the state of Alabama. And I'm sure that, like you said, there's people watching this merger, and there are not many local banks left. Troy Bank and Trust Company, First National Bank of Brundage. Does Andalusia have a local bank?
Yeah, they have community. They have CCB. They have a local one. Of course, there's one in Laverne, First Citizens in Laverne.
Okay.
They're scattered out, but there's not near as many as there used to be.
Yeah.
A few years ago, there was 140, 150 banks. Now we're down to 130.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons we looked at this. I mean,
130 in the state of Alabama.
That's right, and it's something. Yeah. But when you look at us and you look at Brundage, and I mean, first and foremost, we're Brundage folks.
Yeah.
So of the 131 banks in the state of Alabama, Troy Bank and Trust is probably the only one that keeps that bank in Brundage.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Sure.
That's important to us. If you take First National Bank or the First National Bank's facility away from Main Street in Brundage, then that downtown,
that's right,
it's going to struggle.
Exactly right.
It's going to struggle. So that's just another reason that it was an attractive merger for us.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that, then look at Brundage Banking Company. Their location is now City Hall.
Yeah.
Because when they merged to BB&T, the first thing they did was close that location.
Yeah, exactly. And BB&T is, of course, a big national bank.
Truist, they're one of the 6 largest banks in the world.
Yeah, exactly. People don't realize that they got a branch in Brundage, Alabama.
That's right. Oh, and their merger took about a third of the time of ours.
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, if you got any questions, you're welcome to call in and ask questions to John Ramage this morning. As was it a celebration? Did y'all have a big party? Did y'all honor? What are you going to do? Mr. John's statue is going to be.
No, he's going to stay out there.
He's not going to move.
No, he's not going to move. I hope we're not tearing down statues in Brundage, but I don't believe he's going to be going anywhere. But we did. We actually celebrated my mother on the last day because she retired.
Yeah.
She had worked 41 years at the bank, and June 30th was her last day. So we had a retirement party for her against her wishes, but we did it anyway.
Yeah, and of course this time, Brett was honored by the not only the bank but the city of Brundage. This was prior to his death. Is that right?
Well, the article in the paper was prior to his death. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at here. And of course, if I had not shown it earlier, I thought this was, the Messenger did a wonderful job, with this article and talking about his retirement. And of course, now we're talking about, he has left us. But well, I tell you what a legacy he's left and so forth for the city of Brundage. I've had one of Brundage's favorite sons to me would be Lawrence Bowden.
Yes.
All right, Lawrence Bowden family goes way back. way back.
Way back.
And I talked to him. I've talked to him about Mr. John Ramage, and that's how Mr. John Ramage was the first banker that most people could remember down there.
That's right. Yeah, he would. We were on the corner, the opposite corner from where we are now, and he would take his chair out and lean it up against the side of the building in the afternoons and smoke his cigars.
Yeah.
Do his business, because he was he was a cattleman, so he was always horse trading.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned somebody just a while ago, Mr. Barr. He was been involved. He'd be one of the, like if you had a Mount Rushmore, you'd have Jimmy Ramage, you'd have Mr. Barr. Is that right?
You'd have to have the Boss Hog.
Boss Hog would have to be there.
Dad used to tell him all the time, Robert, you ought to sue CBS because they've stole your life. He drove around in a big Lincoln like Boss Hog did on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Right, yeah.
Boss Hog ran the town like Boss Hog ran the town on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Of course, his son stayed around. It's amazing. Now, you look at Brundage, and of course, and a lot of it's young people hung around.
There for a while, for sure.
Like yourself and. Even with Judge Barr, Bill Barr, and those folks hung around,
Don Dickert.
Don Dickert, great guy there, and the Dickert Lumber Company. But something that, that people probably realize more than ever, a lot of Troy people bank with Brundage, with First National Bank of Brundage.
Dad used to have the saying that old Brundage was new Troy.
Yeah, yeah. But, I know y'all had a lot of people from that were from Troy that banked with you.
You had a lot of people that they did stay locally. They may not have stayed in Brundage.
Sure.
They settled in Troy, which is great. The county is probably closer and more united today than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And we still compete on Friday nights.
I feel to say they ain't like each other when they play.
No.
Well, it's about like Auburn, Alabama. You're far Auburn or you're far Alabama. Well, you're either far Pike County High School Brundage or you're far Troy.
That's right.
The real. Like your dad, I played against your dad.
Yeah, you don't want Dad to tell you.
I don't have to explain myself to anybody about being for Troy. I've been like that, just like he was. He probably ran out and watched some practice football back, the heyday. And,
there for years and years. I guess after Jim and I quit playing football, Dad started following, as he would call them, the Brundage Bulldogs again, and he probably didn't miss a game for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
He traveled on the road with them.
Now, Jim was
My brother Jim.
Your brother Jim, yeah.
Yeah, my brother Jim.
Yeah, I can keep up with him very well.
Yeah, Jim lives in Brentwood, Tennessee.
Okay. Oh boy, he's a rich guy.
We call him
he lives
Mr.
in Brentwood. He's rich. Yes, he's rich.
Yeah, we call him Mr. Ramage. He works for Pinnacle Bank.
Oh, does he?
Yes, he's been in Brentwood probably for 14, almost 15 years. Has 2 girls.
Yeah.
So he's a banker.
Yeah. You know, my little across the street neighbor, one of Michael's best friends, lives in.
Sean Duncan, Hell lives in Brentwood.
Yeah, they live there. He's a big house builder there.
That area has just exploded.
Yeah.
When Jim moved there 14 years ago, you'd get off the interstate and drive to his house, and you know there were still farms and farmland, and now there's houses.
Debbie, we would call her Debbie Coppinger.
Carpenter, yeah.
All right, they went to Dunwoody. I mean, not Dunwoody, but Brentwood Academy. Sean's daughter did, and they were in competition for the national champion dance team.
Yeah.
And they won it. Brentwood won it, and her daughter gets a full scholarship to the College of Charleston, one of the best dance schools in the country. But it's amazing, you know, how our Troy people and Pike County people and Brundage people have gone out and done well. But at the same time, a lot of them have hung around right here.
A lot of them have come back. You know, a lot of friends I had growing up. We all went our separate ways. Maybe went to Auburn. Maybe went to Bama. Some stayed at Troy. But
to date you, what year did you graduate from high school?
1993.
1993. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And graduated from Alabama in '97.
Yeah, exactly.
December of '97. And came back and worked.
You know, we talk about legacies, and you're a legacy, no question about it. And your dad surely is. And you know, to talk to people like Lawrence Bowden, whose family's been here, gosh, in the all the way back to the 1800s, the mid 1800s or more. There's been some Bowden around here, and other family names have stuck and have, you know, like you said, have become, you know, citizens of the community.
Yeah, you know, we're really Johnny-come-latelys. I mean, we're only 6th generation Brundage.
Yeah.
Because Jim Ramage was actually born in Greenville.
Yeah.
His mother had passed away, so his dad brought him to his brother to raise because he was married.
In Brundage.
In Brundage. So that's how we located.
Well, that is unusual.
That's right.
And of course, you know, and of course, his legacy moves on, and of course, you know, I know you're like Mike is. You couldn't have a father that loved his community any more than you.
Oh no. Brundage was always you know, the other sibling for Jim and I. You know, we had 3. There was 3 of us, me and Jim and Brundage.
Yeah. Of course, again, we were talking about the merger. Have we asked all the questions, or are there more questions?
Well, I'm sure there's more questions than answers from me. But you know, one of the things that we talked about it briefly was that how many people had watched this merger from afar.
Yeah.
And it's because the industry is contracting. You know, there's just going to be more mergers. There's going to be more as we go through. I mean, so that's why there was so much interest in our merger.
Sure.
So we'll see if we set precedent. I'm not real sure we did.
Yeah.
In fact, I know we probably didn't.
A lot of.
Let's get off the subject a little bit. I know you're very involved with Pike Liberal Arts. Of course, y'all made a big hire not too long ago. I know you're involved in that process. Tell everybody about Mario White. How y'all came to meet him and hire him, and of course, he's new athletic director and new head football coach, Pike Liberal Arts.
Yeah, Coach Mario, we all knew from his days at Tuscaloosa Academy. He coached first base, and obviously with during the run that Coach Ponder had, and we're still going through in baseball. Tuscaloosa was a team we played. They came every year to our tournament, to the McWaters tournament, and then we had to eliminate them 3 years in a row. So we were familiar with Mario, but yeah, that process, that search process was very long. It took a lot of turns, cooks and crannies, and there were a lot of people interviewed. And at the end of the day, I don't think things happen randomly and by happenstance. We were able to interview Mario and hire him, and it's been great.
Yeah, he was probably one of the most sought after coaches in the state, I would say.
Mario?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's kind of a diamond in the rough. That maybe he was under the radar, but that won't be the case long.
He's also a preacher too, isn't he?
Yeah, it won't be the case long because Mario is a rock star, and he's a rocket. So
well, some people don't understand it. There's a lot of kids coming from public schools to play ball at the private school, which is their prerogative. If they want to do it, and the rules say that you can recruit these players.
Well, last time I checked, no one was zoned for Pike Liberal Arts.
Yeah.
We all have to make that decision whether you want to go or not. So there has been a lot of interest in Pike Liberal Arts. I was talking to the headmaster yesterday, and he said there are 68 students that will be new to the school or re-enrolling in the school that were not in the school last year this next month. So
how big as far as private schools? I mean, I know you got Glenwood Academy, you got Bessemer Academy, Tuscaloosa Academy. I mean, how many students do y'all have now?
Well, that's always a tough number to nail down in July. But I believe Pike is going to be anywhere in the 465 to 480 range this year, which is,
that's kindergarten through 12.
That's right, K through 12. That's going to be down from an all-time high, but it's going to be an increase over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and of course, Pike Liberal Arts takes a lot of pride in having kids that have actually started when they were in kindergarten and have graduated. And hear this, ladies and gentlemen, the percentage of Pike Liberal Arts graduates go to college.
100%.
100%.
100% college acceptance.
Yeah. And the reason I wanted to bring this out is that academically, all of these kids have done well in college.
That's right. I mean, last year, I had a daughter that was in the class of 2020, the COVID class, as we called it, but there was 35 kids in that class, and there was almost $3 million in scholarships.
Yeah, it was just
unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah, no question about it. So what I'm saying, we're not just talking about athletics. The main thrust is education. And the kids at Pike have been very competitive.
We always say on the athletic side that no one has made a living yet playing athletics at Pike Liberal Arts.
That's right.
So you got to academics is first and foremost.
This guy.
So y'all compared to we talked a lot lately of of course, y'all are a private school, but if you ended up playing a public school schedule, what would y'all be compared to? Would y'all be compared to a 1A, a 2A?
Well, there's a lot of talk about that.
Explain that.
Well, what would happen is if Pike Liberal Arts decided to go to the high school association, they would count the boys at 1.35 times each boy, and then the girls at a different ratio. So I think personally, as we sit here today, Pike Liberal Arts would probably be a large 1A, if not a small 2A.
All right.
In the high school.
So Brantley is a 1A, Elba's a 1A, Long of Skipperville is probably a 1A,
They're
a 2A,
They're
2A.
two.
Arrington is a 1A,
a 2.
Now Goshen's
Goshen is now a 3.
Yeah.
They're in the area with Pike County.
But
Zion Chapel's a 2.
Zion Chapel is a 2. It that's something that's talked about a lot because the high school association has a lot of longevity. It's no different from my merger to Troy Bank and Trust. When you look at AISA is not near as strong as it was 5 years ago, and it's all just economics.
Yeah.
Some of these schools are in places that people just didn't come home to, and that they're struggling.
And when you played, they had. Dixie Academy, you had
Dixie,
Memorial,
you had Ashford,
you had, South Montgomery,
South Montgomery. They're all those are gone, and those were Pike's rivals back in those days. Dixie Dixie was the biggest rival we had.
Yeah, big rival, yeah.
Of course, you lost your baseball coach, who we're big fans of, and
oh Lord, yeah. I don't want to talk about that and cry on the air. But
he will go down as one of the greatest coaches probably in Pike Liberal Arts and Pike County history, right up there with Derek Irons at Charles Henderson. I'm sure y'all are going to miss Coach Ponder, but he's just going to be going right up the road, I guess.
Yeah, Coach Ponder had a tremendous opportunity, and Ponder's story's not written yet either. It's not complete. Ponder has a chance to be one of the great coaches in this area of all time, because now Ponder will go to Pike Road and he'll be successful because he knows baseball. I mean, he knows baseball, and if you don't believe that, Mike, you were there. Go back and watch that series against Morgan last year with those 4 Division I commitments and the 41st player token in the Major League Baseball draft.
And another thing, too, to lose something like 13-1 to a team that had won 30 straight games, and then you come back the next day or that afternoon and you beat that team, and then you play them for the championship and you beat them again. And, that was one of the, I would say that Morgan team's one of the great teams to ever play.
That Morgan team had a chance to be the greatest AISA team of all time.
That's right.
Now, because you don't win the title, people forget about you.
Exactly right, yeah.
I mean, winners write history, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that had to have been the greatest upset in the history of the AISA.
All right, now, of course, your girls' sports
and that was without the best pitcher. Wasn't Nelson hurt?
Yeah, Nelson had gotten hurt in a JV tournament about 3 weeks earlier. He had broken his thumb on his left hand, of course, his pitching hand, sliding into second base. So we did not have Drew, who was absolutely torching summer ball, if you keep up with him.
Well, I'll just give you a little story. He played in a tournament down in Bradenton, Florida. I want to say Bradenton is down in South Florida. And he was voted most valuable player. All he did was strike out 13 batters.
Yeah.
And, he probably, but the thing is now, he's a great athlete. He's a good basketball player. He's a great pitcher. He's got a changeup that evidently is major league type changeup.
Circle change.
He's got the best move to first base I think I've ever seen. I saw him play as an 8th grader, and I said that this is a kid that can't miss. But the thing is, he was just a little bitty guy. Now he's getting bigger and bigger. His daddy's 6'5".
If he grows into his daddy's height, he'll be unbelievable.
We talk about he could be a first round maybe or something. He's really
he's committed to Auburn.
Yeah.
So he'll go over, and Auburn's got, it pains me to say it as a Bama guy, but Auburn's got a great baseball staff over there now with
really
Tim Hudson and
you're right.
Gabe Gross.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Gabe Gross.
Oh, mine too. So Drew will do well.
Yeah,
he'll do well because he works extremely hard.
And of course, you got to hand a lot. Just like Brian Meadows had a great dad to tutor him, and so does.
That's right, and so does Mays. Mays White. I don't know that it's made the paper yet, but Mays White made the top 100 baseball players in America.
That's the coach's son.
That's the coach's son.
Yeah.
He plays shortstop and quarterback.
Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen.
So where's he going to Florida State?
He's committed to Florida State.
Yeah. And did you hear, Mike? He's rated the top 100 in America. You reckon how many kids are playing baseball in America? How many million?
Oh man, there's a lot.
How many million? This guy might be the most prolific kid to ever come through this the whole area.
Pike has had Pike County's been blessed with a lot of baseball players.
Yeah, no question.
But Mays he's something to watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at us. I mean, us. Pike Liberal Arts next year. You'll have at least 2 Division I commits on the team, with Mays going to Florida State and Drew going to Auburn.
All right, now I saw a picture of Drew either on my phone or in the paper. As a quarterback in football. Somebody told me he was not going to play football.
I don't believe he's going to play football this year.
And buddy, he would have been a good one too.
He was good. He is. But I think he's going to focus in on fall baseball.
Yeah.
So what kind of offense does Mario White bring? Is he an offensive-minded coach? Is he a defensive coach?
He is an offensive coach. He's going to run we'll be an air raid team.
I hope everybody's enjoying the show brought to you by P.S. Falk Furniture in Enterprise, Alabama. And, of course, I'm sure you've been through there before.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, don't go in because you're going to buy something.
That's right.
If you don't expect to buy something, don't go buy P.S. Falk because you're going to see deals and you're going to see unique furniture that comes from across the world. And, Mike, I know that this virus has really sort of shut down him being able to go across the world.
Yeah, I mean, as far as bringing in more product, it's definitely hurt. But Andy's got so much.
But he had
stuff
warehouses full of stuff, so he's got.
Andy's a pretty big Alabama fan, like John.
Exactly right.
I was in school with Andy.
But I'm gonna bring my Auburn deal out here in a minute now because we want to and Troy. Of course, you're proud of Troy's program.
Yeah, both my grandparents are Troy graduates.
Yeah.
My dad's parents were both Troy graduates. My daughter is a senior at Troy, so we're Troy. We love Troy as well.
I know you do. No question about it. Of course, John Ramage.
When you went to Pite Labarge, you were coached by Ward, I guess, was there?
Dwight Ward and Delaney Curvin were my coaches.
Thank you.
Is it hard to believe that Mike Amos was the head coach of Pite Labarge?
How about that?
No, hey, don't do that now. Hey, Mike, they'll start asking about what kind of record he had.
I know. That made you get out of coaching pretty quick, didn't it?
Hey, let me tell you this. I might have still, if I hadn't been head coach, I probably would still be coaching today.
Yeah, that's what my dad wanted to do.
Yeah.
My dad wanted to teach and coach. And my grandmother wouldn't let him.
I can tell you some real stories. He played on in my opinion, one of the best Pike County teams. One of the best. There were a lot of good ones, but he played on a real good one in the 60s.
For the era.
Yeah, in the 60s, in 1963 and 64, 63 and 64, he played on some good Pike County teams. No question about it. But
we talk about that all the time. The Mount Rushmore at Pike County High School. We did it on the show one day.
Yeah.
You're around it your whole life. Who would be your Mount Rushmore as far as top players ever?
Pike County High School?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's tough to say it because there's so many great players. You got
how many do I get? 4?
Yeah, you got 4.
You got to put Wayne Grant on there as the coach.
Yeah.
You got to put Stephen Coleman on there.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Is he still on the council?
He's not.
No,
he is not. Stephen Coleman was he was the best football player I've ever seen.
Well,
he had
agree.
NFL talent.
Yeah.
He's one of the few players that could actually accelerate while changing direction in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, Cornelius played 10 years in the NFL. It's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore that.
I mean, Fred Baxter played over 12.
And Fred Baxter played 12
Those would all
years.
have to be on there. You might have to add another one to it.
But then you got Quincy Jackson.
You had Quincy. You had Marcus Bryant. You had Benny Mahan. Benny Mahan.
Benny Mahan is one of my favorites all time.
Benny Mahan was a 4 or 5 time All-State player. He started for Pike County High School in the 8th grade.
If Benny Mahan was 3 inches taller, he would have been a household word. Benny Mahan and the great one over at Charles Henderson, those were 2 of the best players to ever play in Pike County. Don't you agree, Mike?
You talking about Willie Collins?
Willie Collins. Very similar.
Benny Mahan may have been the greatest athlete to ever come through Pike County. I mean, he was a 300-pounder back when they didn't have him, but Benny could do a standing back jump. He could do a standing back flip, and he could dunk a basketball flat foot.
Oh, yeah.
At 300 pounds. It was unbelievable.
And let me tell you this, Mike.
When I played was Carlos Carlisle.
Carlos Carlisle, God bless him. He was the water boy for years on that team. His mom wouldn't let him play football. And they finally, Cornelius and them finally talked his mom into letting him play football.
Yeah.
And he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Had he played his whole career, his whole high school, he probably would have gone to college somewhere because he was fantastic.
No question about it.
We hadn't even talked about is Chris Nixon.
How good was he?
Chris Nixon,
so
James Jackson.
Where's he on the list? Yeah,
you got to put him on there somewhere because he was Mr. Football.
And let me tell you this: there's a family that there was one great family at Pike County High School, and
the Fosters?
What?
The Fosters and the Mahan.
The Fosters.
The Hollands.
Hey, there was a Foster that really came very close to breaking all of your guys' records.
That's right. You had
what was his first name?
You got the Hollands. You got Fred Holland, the coach now. Fred was an outstanding player.
Yeah.
His brother Robert, who was my age, we grew up playing baseball together. Robert and his cousin Doug.
Yeah.
They were all
those families. Yeah.
Great athletes.
The
Fosters, the Fosters. Yeah, they were. Pike County High School has had as good a players come through as anybody.
All right, let me tell you, Quincy Jackson. Listen to this, Mike. Quincy Jackson. How good was Quincy Jackson?
Quincy Jackson, Cornelius Griffin's first cousin.
I know it exactly.
Nick Walker played at Alabama and started at tight end for 2 years.
And also the Foster. He was related to the Foster too, wasn't
he? Stevie Wilson.
Who was the Foster kid that was such a good player?
There's a lot of them. I played with
he almost broke the touchdown record. He had right at 100 touchdowns in his career.
You're not thinking about Stephen Coleman?
No.
I'm trying to think of who this was.
Yeah, Stephen owned that record. I'll never forget it when Stephen broke the touchdown record. They called it back for celebrating because he started high stepping on about the 20. And then the next play, Coach Grant gave it to him again, and he scored again. It was just 15 yards longer.
I did the play-by-play of the championship game against. They were Tarrant. I think that's where it was. Tarrant. It was played at Pike County.
Pike County, they won one at home, and then they won one on the road before the Super Six.
And I remember doing that. That was one of the first big games we ever did at Troy Cable.
I ran into Josh Niblett. Josh played at Glenwood when I was at Pike, you know, and before they played Aniana. He was the head coach at Aniana when Pike County played them, and he says before the game, he said, Ramage, you know, we're gonna get y'all. My strategy is we're just gonna wear you out, and in the fourth quarter, I mean, you don't have but 18 kids. We'll make our move and we're going to get you. And I said, well, Josh, it won't be close in the fourth quarter. and I believe if you go back, Wayne was up 28-0 at the half, I believe.
No question about it. He was a great coach. No question about it. It's amazing.
And had great athletes.
Exactly.
You know, fantastic.
Well, let me just say this. No mayor in the state of Alabama supported high school football like Jimmy Ramage. No, nobody. I put him up against anybody. And don't you know that Grant, if Grant wrote a book, he'd have to have a whole chapter of Jimmy Ramage, because he helped him so much.
He did.
If that program needed anything, the city of
there were several people that Coach Grant would always call on in the city, and they always delivered. Dr. Johnny Wright of Abundance Electronics, Driscoll over at the Auto Parts. They were all huge supporters of Pike County High School. Now, the story the better discussion of Pike County is what is the best team of all time.
I know, but that would be something.
Now, the greatest team I ever saw Pike County put together, no one ever talks about it because U Fountain came up here at W.S. Neal and beat them in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
But that team, had they won the state, would be considered one of the greatest teams maybe to ever been. I mean, that was Cornelius's senior year.
You could write a book about the teams that beat Pike County. There were not many. Johnny Tatum, one of my dear friends who was the head football coach at Montgomery Academy, he came to Brundage, and no way in the world he was supposed to win that game, but he kept it away from them.
You know, Pike County had beaten Montgomery Academy resoundingly the year before.
Yeah, that's right,
to the point that, this is an awful way to say it, but they had to stop the game because there were so many trips on the ambulance, and they couldn't get enough ambulances here because you got to play with an ambulance. But that next year they played them in the playoffs, and Pike County that was a great team too.
Yeah. Or you could write the book about who had to play in front of Benny Mahan. Let me tell you another thing about Benny Mahan, Michael. They couldn't find a helmet that fit him, so he wore a big, giant white helmet. And they arrested him. You remember that?
Yeah.
And the rest of the folks had the silver helmets on, but everybody in the stadium could follow Benny to the football.
And when one of the teams I grew up with, Chris Downing, was the same way.
I tell people all the time. I tell people all the time, though. I tell people all the time, like, you wouldn't believe who Pike County was.
Zoom TV.
Locked up on us.
Yeah, exactly right.
But
it's amazing the stories you could tell, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, you grew up.
I grew up, playing rec ball in Brundage.
After the game was over, you played a little ball after that.
That's right. You get on the field and you run with the stadium. But, for that Fred Baxter's level team, they were my brother's age. Yeah. So I grew up as their bat boy, so I knew those guys. They were always at the
Pike County
house.
High School football became another industry. In fact, the chamber, they represented the Chamber of Commerce.
They did.
It put Pike County on the map.
People knew Pike County as much because of those runs that Grant had in his 2 stints at Pike County.
And guess what, Mike? One of the new coaches out at Pike Liberal Arts is quite well known.
He's not here yet. We'll get him back.
And okay, he'll get him back. And of course, that was
Cornelius
Griffin. And a lot of people don't realize this, that Cornelius out of high school signed with Auburn, Pat Dye.
Yeah, Cornelius signed he committed to Auburn and went to a junior college in Mississippi. And he'll tell you, he went there as a mortal. I think Cornelius probably weighed 220, 240, something like that. Yeah. 2 years later, he comes out of junior college and he's 300 pounds. And still kept his speed and his agility as he went up. So a couple of things had happened in those 2 years. One, Auburn never called him.
Yeah.
He'll tell.
Wasn't that crazy?
It's crazy that they, I don't know if they forgot about him or what, but they didn't call him. And 2, Quincy goes to Alabama and has success, and that's his first cousin. So
yeah, his foster kid that came around, his mother was his brother played at Alabama, wide receiver. You mentioned him just a while ago.
Stevie Wilson.
Yeah, no, not Stevie Wilson, but played
Nick
Alabama.
Walker.
Not Walker, but well known. Cornelius' cousin.
Quincy.
Yeah. See, she was a Jackson.
Yeah, that's right. Quincy. Quincy had the famous game at LSU where he caught 2 touchdowns off helmets.
Oh yeah.
In a game that we should have lost in Baton Rouge we didn't. He caught 2 deflections for touchdowns.
Exactly. But Cornelius is going to be coaching part-time out at Pike Liberal. Is that right?
Correct.
Mike Amos back here. We're talking about Cornelius Griffin, Mike. Now, let me tell you this. He would have to be on your,
Mount Rushmore.
What?
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. He has to be on what he has done as a citizen of Brundage.
Oh, yeah.
Cornelius has just been one of the, right next to your dad, and of course Cornelius, and of course the football coach would have to be on there.
Cornelius is a wonderful guy. He's been a friend of mine for a long, long time. And things he's done that people will never know about put him on there. One of the things he always does is he does backpacks for the kids at Pike County Elementary School. He cooks that meal on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, everybody gets a good meal.
And I asked him one year after he retired, I said, well, can you just let us help sponsor that?
Yeah.
You're not in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
And he said, John, charity's supposed to hurt a little.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm going to do it by myself. So
of course, I think of his daddy a lot. He had a wonderful daddy and a wonderful mother. Just models. They model role models.
His father, Mr. Willie Buck, Miss Martha. Mr. Willie Buck never saw him play in college.
Isn't that something?
Because they played on Saturday and he was a minister.
Yeah. Okay.
So first things first, you take care of the Lord.
Sure.
And he's tragically killed the week Cornelius leaves to go to Alabama.
That's right.
Terrible.
Well, I tell you what, it's a great
Dad
book you could
talks
write.
About, if you want to see a guy that played in the NFL, look at Cornelius's neck.
Look at his neck.
Or his
gosh. But now, let me tell you something. I saw a guy not too long ago, though, who got a bigger neck from Carroll High of Ozark, Mike.
Yeah, Steve McClendon.
Have you ever seen Stephen McClendon's neck?
Cornelius, retirement has been a change of pace for him, but he has recently gotten back in shape.
Yeah.
He's almost in playing shape.
Oh, really?
He looks phenomenal.
Did he still have that farm on?
Oh yeah, no. That's his pride and joy. Yeah, his cows and his farm.
Yeah, I know. I've been out there.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
his lake.
Again, Cornelius, if you're watching or anybody watching, what a great man he is. But what I'm saying is, not enough room to put everybody up there.
Oh no, and that's the case really anywhere. I mean, if you go back and you flip it around to Charles Henderson, you're not going to be able to put.
Yeah,
you start that, you're going to run out of room too.
Exactly
High level
right.
art's the same way.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, but nobody has had the athletes and the players like Pike County High School.
Not for a
will.
school that size. There's no way.
And he sure made them believe, and of course they got a good one there now too. And he learned from the guru himself.
That's right, Coach Highland and both Coach Highlands, Doug and Fred.
Good coaches.
They're Doug won the state basketball last year.
Where did the great basketball player go? Where did he go?
He is at Shelton.
He
went to Shelton.
It took me a Troy to pick him up.
They ought to, because he is a diamond in the rough, because he hasn't played a lot of basketball.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Pike County High School, Pike Liberal Arts School, and more importantly, this morning we're talking about the merger between First National Bank of Troy Brundage and Troy Bank and Trust Company. Troy Bank and Trust Company now a $1 billion bank, and you've got.
You going to elbow him?
I got Will elbow this time.
Elbow.
Since we shook hands and broke protocol.
Congratulations, and I tell you, I think everybody's enjoyed talking about not only the merger, but the legacy that your family has brought to the table.
We are excited. We talked about this a lot. This merger is good for a lot of people. So we're excited about the future ahead and the great things that we can do now that we're together. And not competing with each other.
I hope, it tickled me if a lot of those folks, a lot of my friends at Troy Bank Trust Company, I've been banking there all my life, and I even had an elementary school bank account.
Nice.
Y'all continue that.
That's right.
At Pike County High School. Tell us about that.
The bank in the school.
Yeah, will that continue?
Yes. Yeah, First National Bank was the first bank in the state to have a student-led facility, and that will continue. In fact, it will probably prosper, and we'll be able to do a lot more because of
you could almost call it another branch.
well, legally, you probably don't want to, but you almost could.
But you remember those bank accounts? I can remember mine in elementary school, and my daddy gave me $1 every week to put in there.
Right.
And before long, I had over $100 in the bank.
Right.
But there's a bunch of those little accounts probably still going on.
Well, yeah, that's right. And right now, because there's a shortage of coins.
Yeah.
We're asking you to bring your coins into the bank, let us roll it, and put it into one of those accounts.
Exactly.
Dad, you got a few coins.
Yeah, that's right.
We need them.
Isn't that amazing? No question about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed our show. We're going to run this show again on down the line. Of course, you can watch this show again today at 1:30. It's on Today in L.A. And on Facebook, John, we're all over the world, from all over the United States to all over the world. Troy Bank and Trust Company.
The last question I have for John is: Alabama going to play football? Let's hope so.
Alabama is going to play football, and we're going to play at an extremely high level.
Yeah, okay. And, of course, high school the same way. Is that right?
Yeah, the High School Association, they came out day before yesterday, and they're full steam ahead. So I believe we're all going to play. I don't know how many games we're going to play.
But I will tell you this: if you're doing business, it's not bad to do it with a face mask on, and y'all have adhered to the COVID-19
That's right. We've
rules.
Got sneeze guards up on all locations and masks, hand sanitizers. I mean, just be careful.
Hopefully, we won't have to go back to not having a walk-in business because I always enjoy seeing folks.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think sports is an important part of just life.
Yeah. Let me ask you something personal real quick. How good a guy is Cheryl Crow?
Great. Mr. Crow is a great individual. He is.
He really is.
Alan Jones, the whole board over at Troy Bank, a lot of credit.
Two of my best friends.
A lot of credit has to be given to that board for sticking with this merger as long as they did, because they were committed to it, and they could have walked away, and it would have really hurt First National Bank, but they were committed to see it through. So
no question about it. The Troy Bank and Trust Company gets stronger. Is that right?
That's the idea, is that we are stronger together.
Yeah, exactly right.
We're stronger today than we were last week.
No question about it. Hope you've enjoyed our show, and we appreciate all of our folks. Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. Nobody beats the Premier deal. Nobody. We'll see you tomorrow.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part